Greyhounds are really interesting. I first became aware of them, particularly the retired racing greyhounds, in the 1980s. I have a brother who lives in Arizona, and because of the racing situation in Arizona, where there have been many different tracks, now there's only one in Tucson, when I would visit my brother Clay, I would often see greyhounds throughout the community going on walks with their happy companions. And that really piqued my interest. But I knew at the time that was not appropriate, not a suitable dog for me to select as a companion. I didn't have the resources, the energy, the facility at the time to be able to take one home. But they've always been part of my awareness.
Greyhound racing is controversial because many believe that the greyhounds aren't treated very well. It's a sport that's all about the gambling, and the dogs tend to be a byproduct of the industry. So once they're no longer of use, they need to be disposed of. Some people think that it's okay to race them because they may have an agenda with regard to the gambling, or there are groups, rescue groups, that actually feel like they're afraid to speak out because they feel they won't be able to get dogs if they badmouth the industry. But awareness has creeped into the situation, and a lot of people are now finding out that they aren't well cared for. Some people think, oh, they love to race, so it's okay. All dogs love to run, but that's no reason to keep them in a cage.
Yeah, that's a great question. What you have to do as a greyhound owner is you have to be really responsible about your front door. Because they are trained, front doors are like starting gates to them. So they're trained, these are retired racing dogs, so they have been in the slots to race, and so they will kind of generalize that same sprinting behavior right out your front door if you're not watching what you're doing. So you always want to make sure that you have maybe a system where there's an extra fence. You also do some training with your dog on impulse control, teach them to stay at the front door, teach them to do a wait, but you never leave it to chance with a dog that is capable of going 45 miles an hour. So we never just open the front door and nobody's holding the dog, or you train the dog to go to a spot when the doorbell rings. Genetically, going back to their roots, this is the oldest purebred breed of dog that they found. They were buried with the pharaohs and everything like that. So just from day one, they have been hunters and sprinters, and they love to run. So when you get a dog at the racing industry, when a dog's been to the racing industry, then they've been extra rewarded for running. You know, it's even more deeply ingrained than just their natural genetic desire to do it.
Another important thing to me about greyhounds is that Barbara screens each of them and really understands and knows each individual greyhound's personality, so that before the greyhound is placed in a home environment, Barbara has a really good idea about who the greyhound is going to be most suited to. Whether it's a greyhound that has a strong prey drive and is going to want to go after cats, or a greyhound that's much shyer and is going to need a little more coaxing, or to be left alone a little bit more in order to get used to living in a home. Barbara and the Homestretch program, they provide an invaluable service for helping these greyhounds go from living in an institutional track-based setting to learning, wow, this is new. I've never walked up steps if I'm a greyhound. I've never walked up and down steps. I've never ridden in a passenger car. I've never maybe seen a cat. The greyhounds have this wonderful opportunity to learn and experience all these new things before they go to their forever home. It's not, in my mind, about how beautiful the dog is, and so many of them are so beautiful. I don't need a dog that matches my furniture, but I want a dog that's going to be with me, that's going to accept love from me, who's going to love me in return, and that is the most important, I think, of all.
With regard to getting the greyhounds ready for adoption, for the most part, we're starting out with dogs who are a bit of a blank slate. They have no experience with the outside world. They don't know stairs, they don't know mirrors, they don't know babies, small children sometimes. Some have probably never seen grass. We've had a few that seem a little strange about the grass at first. So our job is to get them acclimated to the world that we are living in. Find out about their personalities, get them acclimated to a household situation so they're potty trained and not climbing all over counters, and behaving like good citizens. In that process, we get to see their personalities emerge. They get to see their personalities emerge. Oftentimes, they have no idea what their personalities are going to be like. And we'll see some pretty amazing stuff where dog will do something and then look at you like, oh my gosh, look what I just did. Can you believe that? and it'll be something silly, like jumping in the car. During this time, we're getting all their medical cared for and putting some weight on them. The amount of time it takes for a dog to get adopted varies quite a bit. Some are here for just a few weeks while we're getting medical fixed up. And then others are here for, I think the longest we had a dog was for 1 week shy of 2 years. And he got the most fabulous home, and we get emails from his parents all the time. Sometimes you see a dog, and you have a dog for a while, and they just aren't getting adopted, and they're just not, they seem okay here, and they're doing pretty good here. But all of a sudden, at some point, they kind of click, and then that's when people are wanting them for some reason. And it might be a few months down the road or a year down the road. And then they'll get the home that they've been waiting for, I guess. But it's wonderful to see them come, completely out of their shells or totally blossom when they get into a new home, because oftentimes we do get to see them at some point afterward, and to see how they are so proud of themselves, and how proud of how they're doing, and how happy their families are, and how their families' lives have changed in addition to the dog's life. Many people who start looking at greyhounds or who come to the meet and greets and have never seen a greyhound before, they are very surprised at how easy these guys are to acclimate to a family and to live with. They are quiet, they are clean, they are polite, they're not always in your face. They're very sensitive to their surroundings, and they try to fit in. They try to do their best to fit in. And people often think that they're going to be crazy lunatics because of their race dogs, and it's just not the case. Though sometimes they are.
The beautiful part about bringing Blitz home that first day was how he jumped on my sofa, and he was so happy to be in a home, and he just stretched his long body the full length of that sofa and took a big sigh and looked at me with this look of such pleasure, such happiness, saying, yeah, I'm home.